So here you have it, the official production version of the Qore Performance IcePlate Pocket, or as it's officially known on the website, the IcePlate MOLLE Sleeve, or the IMS6. Now, this has been sort of kicking around the last couple years in a couple prototype variants that some of you may have seen, but it is now officially released to the market to be used exclusively with the Qore Performance IcePlate, which is now very well known. Now, the IMS6 was actually designed in partnership with a good buddy of mine, John Kennesaar, who is a former law enforcement officer who recognized the need in the market for a pocket or sleeve designed specifically for the Qore Performance IcePlate. When the IcePlate first came out, there weren't a lot of good options for truly integrating it into your kit, other than sort of hanging it off your plate carrier or replacing a back plate pocket with the actual IcePlate itself. So John's been working on this for a couple years, and in its final production design, I think he's totally nailed it. So with that being said, let's go over the features of the plate pocket itself. Now, obviously it's not a complicated design, it is just a plate pocket for the IcePlate itself, but the final production version that John and Qore Performance have come up with truly sort of meet the demands of where this thing will be used and how it would be used. So let's take a look at that. So I guess let's start with talking about the Qore Performance IcePlate itself. When the IcePlate was first released a handful of years ago, really the only solution for hydration out there was your standard sort of hydration pouch, a sort of loose polymer-based bag, essentially, that you filled up with water and you put either in a long, skinny sort of pouch that went up the back plate pocket, which is sort of what you commonly found in most tactical circles, or maybe if you went outside to a third-party source, like Source Hydration, for example, they would design wider, flatter bags that fit the whole plate pocket just to sort of distribute the water easier. But when the IcePlate came out, what really it brought to the market was the fact that it was a rigid design, so you didn't have something flopping around on your back. And more importantly, as to its namesake, the IcePlate, you could fill this with water and then freeze it to provide your body cooling on hotter days. So on the other side of things, contrary to its name IcePlate, you could actually fill this with hot or warm water to provide you warmth in a cooler environment. Now, one of the issues a lot of early adopters like myself of the IcePlate found was there was some inconveniences for use. The only way to actually mount this to a plate carrier or use it in conjunction with a plate carrier was two ways, and that is using the straps at the top to latch around the straps of a plate carrier and wear it in between your body and the armor, or actually replacing a back plate with the IcePlate itself. Now, for obvious reasons, a lot of operational guys, I can assume, wouldn't have wanted to do that merely because you're taking away purpose-built armor and replacing it with basically a water-filled plate. Now, one advantage of the strap system itself is that if you weren't using it with a plate carrier, it was really easy to mount it to, say, any backpack strap, to still wear it between the backpack and your back. Again, still providing the benefits of things like the warming if you were using hot water, or to its namesake, frozen water to provide you cooling in, say, summer hikes on the range for whatever reason, things like that. Now, fast forward through the first year or two of its release, a lot of users started chiming in to say that what they really wanted was some sort of hydration carrier pouch, just like, say, Source Hydration or any of the sort of like mil-spec stuff you'd see out there that would carry a regular hydration pouch, but purposely built for the IcePlate. And that's sort of where John came in with his ideas and the partnership between him and the Qore Performance guys to develop over the next year or two a designed solution that would fit the need of the market. And that's what brings us to the IMS6. In the first prototype versions, the IMS6 was relatively similar to what you're seeing here in the production version. The biggest differences were just some things that were maybe overlooked in the design process or the planning process to have a product that could best be utilized out there in the market. So the first prototypes on the market were a little bit smaller or didn't include a full 6x6 PALS matrix on the back, which made the usefulness of replacing essentially your back plate real estate with another pouch for guys that needed to actually weave things in on a back plate pocket that wasn't just a hydration carrier. Now, was this a huge negative? No, it wasn't a dream killer, because at the end of the day, a lot of other hydration pouch options out there for, you know, traditional hydration pouches didn't A, offer a lot of real estate in the first place, but B, didn't actually offer a rigid platform. So while the first prototype didn't really pan out in terms of how much real estate you had to actually put equipment, pouches, et cetera, on the back plate pocket, and then therefore onto the actual plate pouch itself for the IcePlate, it did offer some real estate, and it was a great start of an idea that would lead to the final production version of the IMS6. So back to the fact that the now production version of the IMS6 having a full 6x6 matrix of pals, the only short row being the top row, which is 4 across instead of 6, and that replicates any back plate pocket that's sort of on a modern plate carrier anyways. It's now enabled users to take full advantage of that real estate to weave on any sort of extra pouches, equipment, modular items, etc., that they generally would directly to the back plate pocket itself. And the other benefit there is that since it does replicate the full real estate of a back plate pocket in terms of pals, unlike other traditional hydration carrier pouches and solutions, the IcePlate is a rigid platform. So you're not weaving all these items to essentially a base that is made up of just water. While you're still carrying water, you're containing that water in a polymer outer shell, which gives a rigid platform. So it means that there's no flopping of heavy equipment. It has a rigid base to stick to, much like when you would have modular items, pouches, things like that woven to a back plate pocket. There's the rigidity of the actual armor plate to hold it in place without flopping over all everywhere. So that's a huge advantage of having an IcePlate pocket weaved onto the back of a plate pocket should you need a hydration solution at the same time as still needing to have a full back loadout. So the construction features of the IMS6 is a traditional Cordura plate pocket, much like any plate carrier out there, with military grade webbing for the pals. Pretty standard stuff there. The 2 middle-ish rows of pals are made of Velcro strips or hook and loop strips. Again, much like a lot of plate carriers out there, reason being, kind of the obvious, stick things like patches on there or any unit identifiers, police tags, etc., etc. You pick your poison on that one. It's there for your use. Stitching is excellent, nice and straight, consistent as anything I've seen in most plate carriers. The sleeve features 2 heavy-duty zippers, one at the bottom and one at the top. Those are designed for 2 different reasons, and I'll show you in a second. Now the sleeve features a cutout hole in the bottom corner, and that is to allow the hydration tube that's attached to the IcePlate itself to actually exit the sleeve. And then along the side there are some routing Velcro straps here. Again, you've probably seen these on a lot of plate carriers out there, and that's to obviously allow you to route the hydration tube up along the side of the sleeve itself and up to your plate carrier shoulder straps. So back to the zippers that I mentioned before, and I'll start with the bottom one as it's the largest one and the one that most people will probably find themselves using more often than not, because it's how you actually put the IcePlate into the actual sleeve itself. So to remove or install the IcePlate, as I have here, all you do is undo the zipper at the bottom. If you're taking the IcePlate out, all IcePlates come with a quick disconnect for the actual hydration tube. So you would disconnect the hydration tube that you're using, and all you do is pull the IcePlate out. And from there, you merely just go fill up the IcePlate from a tap, a hose, whatever you got available to you. Freeze it if you like. Keep it as just a hydration pouch and just drink the water and put it back. And you just then close this like any other zipper and you're completely done. So totally easy to use, unlike some other designs, which, you know, this isn't a downside of other designs, but there's no giant Velcro flap that you got to fight with on the inside or anything like that. It's merely unzip and zip when you're done, and Bob's your uncle, as they say. Now to the top zipper, this is a little bit more purpose-built. Now you'll notice it's a much shorter zipper, and what it's actually designed for is that if you're out and about over the course of a day, operation, if you're an operational guy, whatever have you, it allows you quick access to the spout of the IcePlate. So you don't actually have to remove the IcePlate if you want to fill it up. You can have a buddy dump some water in from a water bottle. You can pour water into it from a hose, whatever. But that's actually what that is designed for. So it's just quick access, and a smart plan too. I mean, instead of having to remove the IcePlate every time you want to fill it up, this short little zipper here at the top just allows you easy access to where you fill up the IcePlate itself. Now, as I had mentioned, it's basically the same design as a back plate pocket. So you'll see that it doesn't really take up any more size real estate. It's not overhanging the back plate pocket. It doesn't hang down that much from a back plate pocket. It's basically, you can think of it as an intermediary. It's a platform for your hydration carrier that goes on your back plate pocket that allows it to be sort of sits in the middle between whatever you generally would have woven to the back of your plate pocket, but just allows you to actually carry water, a hydration solution at the same time. Other advantages here, and this is going back to the comments I had made about the fact that it's not a wishy-washy, it's not a liquid platform, it's a rigid platform that you actually mount things off of. Now it eliminates a lot of that flop that a lot of people who use hydration solutions have gotten used to when using a soft hydration bag, where things literally flop on your back as you run, jump, climb, etc., anything to do with heavy activity. The other benefit there is, and I had a long conversation with John about this, I don't have, personally as a civilian, a lot of car work experience. I haven't had to sit in a vehicle with a hydration pouch on my back for long periods of time. But through conversations with him and other buddies of mine that are former military and law enforcement, this is a common problem. That is, especially in the skinny solutions for hydration carriers, when they sort of sat in the middle of your back, trying to sit in a vehicle with basically a giant bulge in the middle of your back, where generally seats are concave, what you would have is this very uncomfortable experience sitting in the car for a long time. So what this has basically done is given a wider base to have on your back when sitting up against the back of a car seat. Obviously it's rigid, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world, because seats are made to be sat with basically a naked back against it. It's contoured to the human back. But this makes it more akin to sitting with armor on, right? So it's not this uneven kind of bulge in the middle of the back, at least, so it gives a better balance. So that's something John had kind of said why he wanted to design something that sort of mimicked a back plate pocket to utilize the IcePlate itself. Now, downside to that, and I don't know how many guys are going to be jumping and screaming that this is a huge downside. Now, the only downside I see to the IcePlate itself is, for those of you guys that used to use your traditional hydration pouches as a pillow, obviously as a rigid platform, this isn't the most comfortable to lay your head on, but for every other use, I've sort of kind of likened this to the new generation of hydration carrier. It's a lot more useful, in my opinion. Being a rigid platform, you can freeze it, you can heat it. With the production and release of the final variant here of the IMS6, not only do we now have a solution for carrying the IcePlate, it carries it in a way that is the least negatively impactful to the standard user's day-to-day use case, without having to modify their back plate setup, things like that. It basically just becomes an intermediary platform that allows a user to keep their same backplate configuration while still carrying a hydration solution, but not only that, a rigid one, so they don't get any of those downsides of the old traditional sort of floppy ones. So for those out there in the market that either use an IcePlate or are looking for an updated solution for their hydration carrier needs, not only is the IcePlate a great solution to that sort of problem that we've all maybe run into at some point in time, the IMS6 as a carrier option for that hydration solution is pretty much the best thing on the market that could have came out for the IcePlate. The two, I kind of consider the two going hand in hand. Now, that's not to say still that you need an IMS6 to carry the IcePlate in any sort of fashion. When you buy an IcePlate, you still do get straps with those. You can still hook it onto things like backpacks, or again, the straps of a plate carrier, things like that. Now, if you're going to use a plate carrier though, speaking specifically about plate carriers, I don't really see any reason. Literally, there's no reason for you to not use the IMS6. It just makes so much sense. Being that it's designed specifically to integrate with plate carrier systems, and you get zero downsides with it. So, I mean, if you're a guy who uses a plate carrier as a job, or you're on the range and you need a hydration solution for that carrier, I definitely, recommend the IcePlate by Qore Performance. That's kind of a no-brainer. It's a fantastic product that's kind of proven itself over the last couple of years. But more so with that, to use it in conjunction with the IcePlate MOLLE Sleeve or the IMS6. Like I said, just it's a no-brainer. They go hand in hand. So let's do a little bit of the housekeeping as per usual in these reviews. The IMS6 is available currently in Ranger Green and Multicam. I believe on the website right now, depending on when you're watching this video, there may be some very limited black versions. There used to be Coyote tan versions, but right now they are only selling the Ranger Green and Multicam variants. I think it's just supply and demand on that one. It retails for $50 plus US. The plus on that one is, like all things multicam, there's a surcharge of $5. So it's either $50 for the Ranger Green or $55 for the multicam version. Now that purchase does not come with the IcePlate. That's a separate purchase available through Qore Performance. Both of these products are on the Qore Performance website that I'll talk about in a second. IcePlates are $65. They come in multiple colors to suit your needs: black, white, gray, Ranger Green, tan, things like that. And when you purchase the IcePlate, obviously it comes with the quick disconnect already attached, as well as a standard hydration tube. Now, because it is quick disconnect, it is compatible with quick disconnect hydration tubes that are sort of out there in the market. I'm currently using a Source hydration tube with that. Again, it's just because I had one lying around and mine already has a sleeve on it, and I kind of like the bite valve on it. But you know, it's up to you. The standard one works just fine. Has a bite valve on this as well. As for the IcePlate itself, it holds 50 ounces of water, or for us metric guys like me as a Canadian, it's about 1.5 liters of liquids. It can be frozen. You can put hot water in here. Again, depending on your use case, it will fulfill your needs there. The amount of time that it'll basically last against a warm body if it's been frozen is about 2 to 4 hours. Again, mileage may vary. It depends on where you are in the world or how hot it is. If it's a billion degrees, obviously it's not going to last as long as if it's like a nice cool summer day or late spring day. And the plate itself is only 12 ounces. So we're not talking about something cumbersome putting it on your back. So while it's not a 3-liter hydration pouch that you can get in some variants of other traditional hydration carriers, so you're basically sacrificing a total maximum carrying capacity you get maybe in some other traditional large storage capacity hydration carriers down to a more average, common 1.5 liter carrying capacity in order to get all of the other aforementioned benefits that I had mentioned previously. So there you have it. That pretty much takes care of my breakdown of the IcePlate and primarily the IcePlate MOLLE Sleeve of the IMS6. So for those of you who are looking for a hydration solution, or already have an IcePlate on its own, you can pick up both of these items or the IMS6 alone on the Qore Performance website. That's qoreperformance.com. That's Qore Performance.com. And while you're at it, give both Qore Performance and my buddy John a follow on Instagram. I'm sure they'd appreciate it. Qore Performance is obviously under Qore Performance, Qore Performance. And my buddy John rolls under the username Dirty Trigger Bent Axle. And both of those I'll have linked in the description below, and they'll be somewhere at the bottom of the screen here for your easily readable uses. So thanks again, guys, for having a listen. And for me, if you do me a huge favor, and that is if you liked the content, obviously hit the like button. That'd be great. If you didn't like it, hit the down like button so I know what to change. And obviously subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And if you're already subscribed, hit the notification icon bell there to be notified when I produce new content, which I know has been quite some time, but I'm getting back on that track. And I'll be posting another video sort of in relation to where I've been in the last little while sometime soon as well. So again, I really do want to thank you for taking the time to spend some time with me and hear about the IMS6. I hope you guys did enjoy the content, and I'll be talking to you guys soon.